Your mind is a dangerous tool. Buddhism's answer. Have you ever felt trapped by your own thoughts, like your mind is working against you? What if it isn't the world outside that holds you back, but the voice within? What if the real enemy in your life isn't out there at all? It is a constant chatter inside your own head. The Buddha taught that the mind creates our entire experience of reality. And as one verse of the Dhammapada warns, the mind is the basis for everything. When I speak or act with impure thoughts, it follows me with suffering just like a shadow. But turn your mind to wisdom and happiness. It stays with you, just like your own shadow. In other words, it is your inner world of thoughts and emotions that can build your heaven or create your hell. And this realization, it can feel both thrilling and terrifying, because in the end, it means you are the true architect of your own fate. Buddhist teachers call the unsettled stormy mind a monkey mind, a restless creature swinging from thought to thought. If left untamed, it deceives, it distracts, and can even do great harm. One modern writer bluntly notes, the mind is a double-edged sword, a useful but dangerous tool to the world around us, and just as deadly for ourselves. Like a power saw left spinning, it will cut us at every opportunity, if we don't learn to control it. But here's the good news. Buddhism offers a way forward. Through mindfulness, meditation, and wisdom, it can be transformed, it can be harnessed, not for suffering, but for liberation. The mirror of the mind. Imagine waking up one morning, feeling agitated and angry for no clear reason. As the day unfolds, you notice everything annoys you. The traffic, a co-worker's question, even the smallest pain. What if I told you it all began with a single tiny, unexamined thought? Maybe a fear of failure, or a grudge left over from yesterday's argument. In Buddhism, the mind is often compared to a mirror or a fertile field. Whatever we plant in it grows, and if we're not careful, it will grow into suffering. But if we nurture it with mindfulness and wisdom, it becomes a ground of freedom. The Buddha famously said, "Everything is created by my mind. If I speak or act with impure thoughts, it follows me with suffering, just as the wheel follows the hoof of the ox." In contrast, when I act with clear awareness, it stays with me as happiness, like my very own shadow. These twin teachings reveal a simple yet profound truth. It is not the world outside that defines us, it is what we allow to grow inside. And in the end, it is our own mind that shapes who we become. This is why the Buddha warned us about illusion. It's so easy to mistake fleeting thoughts and desires for absolute reality. If we believe a thought, "I am not worthy," or cling to a habit, "I can never change," it becomes a prison. The Dhammapada reminds us, if I see illusion as reality, it blinds me, and I cannot find the truth. But when I discard illusion, it reveals itself, and I see reality as it truly is. In the end, it is not the world outside that holds us captive. It is the illusions we choose to believe. In other words, much of our suffering comes from seeing the world through a distorted mind, mistaking shadow for substance. Buddhism's path begins with recognizing this mirror-like nature of the mind. When we look into it without clarity, it deceives us. But when we learn to face it with awareness, it reflects the truth. And in that moment, it becomes not our enemy, but our greatest teacher. The weight of hatred and the power of love. Have you ever seen someone burning with anger at a boss, at a political opinion, even at something as small as spilled coffee? Buddhism teaches that anger is one of the three poisons, alongside greed and delusion, left unchecked. It spreads through the mind, it poisons the heart, and it leads only to suffering. But here's the truth. When we see it clearly and meet it with awareness, it begins to dissolve. And in its place, love has the power to rise. And the Buddha left no doubt. Hatred is never ended by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred ended. This is an eternal law. And yet, countless lives are ruined each day by one simple habit of the mind. We believe we need to hate, to hurt, to carry grudges. But when we hold on to it, it burns us first. The longer we feed it, the heavier it grows until it crushes our peace. But when we finally see it for what it is, an illusion, a poison, it loses its power. And in that space, love has a chance to rise. One inspiring Buddhist story brings this truth to life. Once, a man rushed into the Buddha's camp, screaming curses. The Buddha calmly asked, "When your guests do not accept your offerings of food and drink, who do they belong to?" Confused, the angry man replied, "They remain with me." The Buddha then said, "It is the same with your anger. You offer it to us, but we do not accept it, and so it stays with you." In that moment, the man's rage collapsed. He realized a simple truth. Anger never hurts its target. It only burns the one who carries it. In another powerful tale, a notorious criminal named Angulimala, feared for the gruesome necklace of fingers he wore, once encountered the Buddha in the forest. The Buddha did not fight him. He did not scold him. Instead, with calm and compassion, the Buddha said, "I have stopped Angulimala once and for all. I have cast all violence toward every living being. But you are still bound to it. You are still unrestrained, and it drives you to harm others." In that moment, Angulimala felt the weight of his actions. He saw it clearly. The violence, the suffering, the endless cycle he had been feeding. And that clarity became the turning point of his life. "That is how I have stopped and how you have not." By simply seeing Angulimala's murderous rage and refusing to answer with violence, the Buddha awakened the killer's conscience. In that moment, Angulimala saw it for what it was, a fire that had been consuming him all along. Overcome with realization, he threw down his weapons and followed the Buddha. And later, with joy in his voice, the former bandit declared, "Doer of no harm is my name, but I used to be a doer of harm. Today it harms no one, because I harm no one at all." These stories resonate because they remind us the mind can change. A person swallowed by rage or fear can choose compassion, can choose inner peace instead. Buddhism teaches that another's anger, another's cruelty, it only becomes our burden if we let it in. But mindfulness changes everything. When we notice a feeling without instantly reacting, it loses its grip. And in that space, it transforms from poison into wisdom, from suffering into freedom. In the heat of the moment, take a breath and ask, is this thought helpful? Is it bringing happiness, or is it bringing suffering? So often, the mind is so conditioned in negativity that it explodes before we even see it coming. But even a brief reflection can crack the illusion. Am I truly threatened by this? Or am I just caught in my own illusion of it? Every time we pause, every time we see it clearly, we loosen anger's grip. And in that space, it begins to dissolve. In practical terms, Buddhism offers antidotes for destructive thoughts. One meditation practice is simple, yet powerful. When a harsh thought arises, I'm not good enough, or he did this to me. Don't let it take root. Instead, replace it with something gentle, I am learning just as I am, or maybe free of suffering. Each time we do this, it weakens the poison of the mind, and slowly it transforms the heart. In a recent teaching, a master described countering negative self-talk by imagining knocking aside like a billiard ball. When you redirect your focus to positive truth, it loses momentum. And over time, these small acts of discipline reshape the mind itself. We begin to retrain the monkey mind, and slowly it becomes something different. It becomes a wise friend instead of an enemy. Imagine closing your eyes, drifting among the stars, fully aware, yet without a body. Ancient Buddhism calls this an advanced state of awareness, and even modern science finds echoes of it. Dreaming becomes a doorway. While we sleep, the subconscious unleashes images, emotions, hidden truths. And the masters discovered something profound. Sleep is not just inactivity. It is a bridge. It is a teacher. It is a key to higher consciousness. Some say we are more awake in deep sleep than in waking life, because the ego finally falls away. Even Western psychology glimpsed this mystery. Carl Jung once echoed, "The cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself." He saw how the mind is troubled by something, anxiety, fear, the endless noise of thought. But in sleep, in that silent depth, it no longer touches us. Sleep becomes a sister of death, and it is in that surrender that the self dissolves and truth quietly begins to shine. Tibetan Buddhism even teaches dream yoga. You are becoming fully conscious inside your dreams. In a lucid dream, the usual rules of reality dissolve. Walls melt. Fear turns into flight. Nightmares become gateways to freedom. And here's the astonishing truth. As dream yoga teacher Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche says, just as dream objects can be transformed, so emotional states can be transformed in waking life. It means the power you hold in your dreams is the very same power you hold in your waking life. Change the dream, and it changes you. Transform fear into courage there, and it becomes courage here. It is the bridge between two worlds, a training ground for freedom of the mind. We can turn depression into happiness, fear into courage, anger into love, hopelessness into faith. And what does this show us? It shows us that our beliefs and habits, the very patterns that create suffering by making pain feel so real, are not fixed. They are flexible. They can bend. They can break. In one powerful lucid dream experiment, a dreamer deliberately stepped into a nightmare. They created the most terrifying scenario they could imagine, and instead of running, they stayed. They faced it. And here's the truth they uncovered. It wasn't the monster in the dream that was truly frightening. It was the mind's old habit of believing nightmares were solid, untouchable, real. The moment they realized dreams are safe, something incredible happened. It taught them they did not need to fear their own mind. It showed them freedom was possible, not just in sleep, but in waking life too. Not only dreams, but deep meditation too, taps into this hidden power of the mind. When a person concentrates fully, what Buddhism calls jhana, it is as if the whole body becomes light itself. One ancient text describes it beautifully. A meditator sits, permeating the body with a pure, bright awareness so that there is nothing, absolutely nothing, of his entire body unpervaded by it. And what is it? It is not just awareness. It is not just focus. It is a radiant presence, a living, breathing stillness that floods every cell, every heartbeat, every breath. When it fills you, you are no longer just sitting in meditation. You are the meditation. You are the light itself. In such states, the ego itself begins to dissolve, and suddenly, profound insights into reality can arise. The Buddha himself recounted that with a perfectly peaceful mind, he could remember thousands upon thousands of past lives, births and deaths stretching through eons of world cycles. Now, whether you believe those memories were literal or symbolic doesn't matter. The point is this: the mind carries a continuity far greater than one fragile lifetime. Every emotion you feel, every habit you repeat, every intention you set, it plants a seed. And that seed doesn't vanish. It waits, it grows, and one day it ripens. So when you feel anger, when you act with kindness, when you choose fear or courage, it is not just a fleeting moment. It is your future taking shape. It is your destiny unfolding. It is a law of cause and effect alive within you. In deep meditation or even within a lucid dream, the mind can suddenly feel boundless, like a Buddha's head floating among the endless cosmos, silently reminding us of the inner luminosity we all carry. And then comes another mystery, astral projection, or what some call mind travel. In the Samanaphala Sutta, the Buddha himself describes it, a mind so extraordinarily trained that it can create a mind-made body. With it, the meditator appears and vanishes at will. With it, they walk through walls as though they were air. With it, they soar beyond the earth, reaching out to touch the moon and the stars with their very hand. And when you hear this, don't dismiss it as fantasy. Feel it. Let it stir something deep within. Because whether literal or symbolic, it is pointing to a truth. The mind is far vaster, far freer than we ever dare to imagine. It may sound like science fiction, but in the Buddhist tradition, it is described as a real possibility, the fruit of a mind refined through deep meditation, known as abhina, the supernormal powers. One ancient verse paints it vividly. He appears, he vanishes, He dives in and out of the earth, sitting cross-legged. He flies through the air like a winged bird. With his hand, he touches and strokes even the sun and the moon. And here's the most striking part. It is said he can witness this for himself whenever there is an opening in consciousness. Think about that for a moment. The same mind we use for ordinary thoughts, for worries, for anger, when trained, can unlock experiences so vast, so limitless, that it makes the ordinary seem like a dream. It shows us the hidden potential of our own awareness. It whispers that the boundaries we cling to are not as solid as we believe. Such passages suggest that consciousness isn't strictly tied to the physical body. And what's fascinating is modern near-death studies are beginning to echo it. Some people have reported vivid awareness, even when the EEG shows no brain waves at all. Buddhism would say, the mind is like a vast space in which many realms of reality interpenetrate. And it is through training our attention that we can learn to navigate those realms, whether it takes the form of dream world adventures or even mysterious bardo, the transition after death described in Tibetan practice. It shows us that what we call consciousness may be far more fluid, more boundless, more luminous than we ever imagined. It is not a prison of the brain, but a door to infinite possibilities. Dreams, lucidity, and inner freedom. Dream yoga offers us powerful, practical lessons. Take nightmares, for example. If you become lucid in a frightening dream, don't wake up, don't run away. Instead, face it. Look directly at the fear. Because it isn't the monster or the shadow or the image that terrifies you. It's your own habit of believing the dream is solid, real, unchangeable. And the moment you see it dissolve, something shifts inside. You realize it's not the content of the nightmare that has power over you, it's your identification with it. And once you break that spell in the dream, it becomes easier to break it in waking life too. Fear no longer owns you. It is just another passing wave in the vast ocean of the mind. Use dream signs in waking life. Sometimes, little cracks appear in the fabric of ordinary reality, what practitioners call dream signs. Maybe it's a déjà vu. Maybe it's that fleeting sense that the world isn't quite as solid as it pretends to be. When you feel it, pause. Question it. Look deeper. Because in Tibetan Buddhism, they say awakening from the dream of delusion means finally seeing the world as it truly is. Open, flowing, impermanent, dependently arisen. And when you notice it in your daily life, you realize it has always been this way. It is your perception that transforms. And it is this realization that brings freedom. By integrating such practices, even the most nightmarish life situations begin to soften. Why? Because we've seen it in dreams, how our own mind builds the walls, and how easily it can take them down. As Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche once said, it is easier to develop your practices in a dream than in the daytime. In a dream, our function of mind and our consciousness of the senses are unhindered. In a lucid dream, anything is possible because it is a grip of identity, of I, this body, this stress that loosens. And if you can meet a demon avatar in a dream and dissolve it into light, imagine what it means in waking life. It is the same mind. It is the same courage. And it is this realization that sets you free. Karma and the cycle of life. Beyond the mind's daily games, Buddhism asks us to look deeper, far beyond a single lifetime. Why are we born the way we are? Why does it seem that some people always suffer, while others prosper with ease? The Buddha revealed a timeless truth. It is not random. The conditions of our life, our body, our environment, our fortunes, depend on karma. And karma means intentional action. Just as every single moment our mind creates the experience we live right now, so too it is the past that plants the seeds of our future. Every choice, every thought, every action, it grows into what we one day must face. We ourselves are responsible for our happiness and for our misery. We create our own heaven, and we create our own hell. We are the architects of our fate. A Buddhist text reminds us. One story tells of a young seeker who once asked the Buddha, why are some people born rich while others are poor? Why are some strong and others weak? The Buddha replied gently but firmly, all living beings have actions, karma, as their own. It is karma that shapes destiny. It is karma that lifts them high, while binding others low. In other words, our life today is nothing but a garden. It is simply bearing the fruits of seeds we once planted, whether we were conscious of them or not. To truly see this, Buddhism gives us the teaching of dependent origination, often shown as the great wheel of life. At its center, ignorance and craving spin the cycle, setting off the endless chain of birth, aging, and suffering. And yet, there's another way. The Buddha described wisdom and compassion as a path, a raft that carries us beyond this wheel. Look closely at Buddhist art. The wheel of life turns endlessly, but beside it, painted in green, is the noble eightfold path. It is the raft. It is the way out. It is a reminder that no matter how strong the wheel of suffering seems, freedom is always possible. This ancient diagram reveals a flood of samsara, painted in red, showing how we drift again and again in endless rebirth carried by our own ignorance. But look closer. Alongside that flood lies the green raft, the path of wisdom and virtue, step by step. Right view, right action, right meditation. It carries us forward. It is the raft that keeps us from being swept away. It is the path that stops us from planting new bad seeds. It is the promise that liberation is possible if we dare to take the journey. Science today doesn't rule out such possibilities. If matter is never destroyed, but only changes form, then why couldn't consciousness do the same? Why couldn't it continue and take a new form? Even Albert Einstein, when describing the universe, used language eerily close to the Buddha's. And in the Buddha's own words from the Mahasaccaka Sutta, I recollected manifold past lives, 1 to 100,000. Think about it. Scholars like Dr. Ian Stevenson have even documented children recalling past life details. It challenges everything we thought we knew about life and death. It suggests consciousness is far greater, far more mysterious than the brain alone. From a practical standpoint, karma simply means this. Your actions have consequences. When you give with generous heart, it comes back as kindness. When you harm others, it weighs on you. Buddhism does not teach blind faith. You are free to change a pattern at any time, but every choice plants a new seed, and that's empowering. Because if you've made mistakes, it doesn't define you forever. It can change the moment you decide to act differently. There is no permanent sentence, except the ones you keep alive with your own mind. Riding the wave of meditation, all these teachings about mind, dreams, karma, they come together here. Meditation is a laboratory where we don't just believe, we experience. At first, it feels like a struggle, calming the restless thoughts, those 5 hindrances pulling us everywhere. But with patience, with breath, with presence, it begins to shift. It becomes still. It becomes focused. And in that stillness, a profound serenity arises. The Buddha spoke of the jhanas, those deep states of meditation where ordinary awareness melts away, and it transforms into something pure, peace, joy, and a freedom beyond words. In the deepest of those jhanas, the meditator's consciousness doesn't just sit quietly. It expands. It fills the whole body like a luminous cloth. And in that radiant state, the Buddha discovered something extraordinary. It could recall countless past lives. It could open divine eyes and ears, perceiving realms and beings unseen. It could even create a mind-made body, moving freely at will. Now, not everyone should expect literal magic, but the symbolism is powerful, because when we train the mind, it expands. When we awaken consciousness, it reveals parts of us that have always been dormant. And in that awakening, it shows us fear, anger, doubt. These are not who we are. They are patterns. Patterns we can transcend. Meditation also sharpens everyday perception. When we practice mindfulness, whether on the breath, the body, or even the smallest tasks, it begins to show us something profound. It reveals how thoughts arise and vanish, just like clouds drifting across the sky. It helps us see that so many of our worries are not truths at all. They're only projections, shadows of the mind, not solid facts. This gives us a precious distance. Instead of being a waterfall, we simply watch the waterfall. And in the ancient texts, the Buddha himself compares his teaching to this. It is like the way irrigators guide water. It is like the way arrow makers shaped arrows to wise. In the same way, skillfully tame the mind. And without external force, he said, it was the Dharma itself, the truth of non-harm, that tamed him. Indeed, just as a potter can take raw clay and shape it into anything, through practice we too can reshape our mental habits. As Tricycle magazine explains, the Buddha taught skillful techniques, mental switching, gentle warning, even crushing a stubborn thought. So the mind doesn't control us, and all of it points to one powerful conclusion. We are not victims of the mind. With effort, with discipline, with heart, it is possible to become masters of it, your path to freedom. So what does this really mean for you? It means that everything you long for, calm, deeper relationships, a true sense of meaning, it all begins within. The Buddha's answer to the danger of the mind is not to run from it, but to face it with wisdom. When anger rises, observe it. When hate or bitterness burns, soften it with compassion. When restlessness overwhelms you, quiet it with even a few breaths of meditation. And slowly, gently, it begins to loosen its grip until freedom feels not far away, but already here. Even at night, when you drift into sleep, remember, your mind never truly rests. It keeps working quietly in the background. So why not guide it with intention? Before you close your eyes, hold a question or a problem gently in your heart, then release it into the silence of sleep. And sometimes you'll find it brings back insights, answers you never expected. Because dreams, strange as they are, can be wise counselors. And when heavy feelings arise, don't fight them. See them as waves in the vast ocean of mind. It will crest, it will fall, and then it will vanish. In the end, there is no reservoir, no boat, only endless sky, only boundless sea. As one modern meditator beautifully said, our most frightening nightmares, whether in sleep or in waking life, lose their grip when we see that they are not solid realities. And it's true. Each time you tame even one small fear or one stubborn habit, it is like chipping away at the great fortress of self that was built on illusion. Over time, as the walls crumble, it opens a door to what Buddhism calls awakening, an inner freedom where you no longer swing helplessly from thought to thought, but rest in clear, luminous awareness. In the end, the Buddha's message about the mind is deeply hopeful. You already hold immense power, if only you learn how to use it wisely. The very same mind that can drag you down into despair, it can also, with training, lift you into bliss and insight, as the Buddha taught. It's like discovering you've been carrying a diamond in a dirty sack all along. Just dust it off and let it shine. And that's the truth. Your mind is dangerous only when it remains unexamined. But turn it toward compassion, wisdom, and awareness, and it becomes the greatest ally you will ever know. Thank you for joining this quiet moment of reflection. If these words have sparked even a glimmer of understanding in you, you might consider continuing the journey with us. As the Buddha taught, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. A reminder to gently guide our minds toward compassion and clarity. If you feel called to deepen your practice, I warmly invite you to subscribe to Bodhi Sensei. Each video here is a step further along the path of inner wisdom. We offer weekly teachings, guided meditations, and reflections that echo the Buddha's timeless wisdom. By subscribing, you join a community dedicated to mindfulness and awakening. We support one another with kindness and curiosity. You have seen how powerful mind can be, shaping the world we experience. In this space, we tend the garden of our awareness together. Each teaching is a drop of water nourishing our path. If these insights resonated, please consider subscribing and exploring more of our teachings. Together, we'll continue walking toward inner clarity and peace. Thank you for being here. May the light of awareness guide us all until we meet again. Namaste.